Hey Jen, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Did I send you and Joni an email about the 16th?
Yeah, but I'm not going. I'm not going to the networking thing.
Oh, you're not. Okay.
No, I'm only going down for the other thing.
Okay, thank you for that. I'll let her know. I think it's just Joni and I going to that then. Oh, I think Tatina maybe was going. Hey Linda. So I'm going to try something new. I have this AI companion on that should send you a summary of what we covered today. So let me know if you don't get it because I'm trying this new process and I want to see if it works. Can you guys hear me?
I can now.
Okay.
That was my computer.
All right. We're going to hang on for just 1 minute to see.
Good. I'm gonna go grab my lunch if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
I'll be right back.
Oh my goodness.
My Zoom thing got all mixed up.
Oh,
Like I like to see the speaker's face and then the other speakers on top,
oh yeah.
and it's not doing that.
Okay. So tell me, like, while we're waiting for everyone and Linda to come right back, um, how many clients do you have now total?
Just one. I've got two out there getting their labs done. Um, and another guy, maybe that cane toad poison guy is gonna come back. I don't know.
Had a gal that paid you in full.
Oh, and her. Like I do have a list.
I was gonna say, you need, like, that's your homework, girl. I want you to start keeping track of that.
See, some of them just they connect and then they go off and they do their homework and then they connect. Like I might have a free consult this afternoon, but I kind of double booked myself. At one point I thought I was double booked, and so I reached out to her. I said, "Hey, I got this other thing going on." I sent it was an email because I have a form that I want her to fill out, but let's I need to reschedule. Didn't hear from her. Called her, left her a voicemail. Need to reschedule. Still haven't heard from her, so I don't know if she's gonna show up.
Well,
But
and I find too that emails get lost, right?
I get that emails get lost, but voicemails.
Oh, I thought you just emailed. That's what you said. I
No,
didn't know
I
you.
did a voicemail,
Yeah.
and so I don't know if she's showing up.
Well, we'll see.
But I went to the CDA chamber mixer yesterday.
Oh yeah, how was that?
I had four women, good conversations
That's great.
because I changed my name tag. When I wrote my name tag, I put Dr. Jan, midlife health strategist, and that was like a conversation starter.
Fantastic. That's fantastic. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and start, and Linda will catch up. And I know that Lachelle has a commitment for the next couple of months. Shauna also had a couple of commitments. It's funny because when you start new people, right, that um, it just takes a minute to get it on your calendar. And so I've got Tatina had something too. So anyway, we'll get everybody here soon. So we are going to talk about something that is near and dear to my heart today. And you've heard me maybe talk about this before, but we're going to talk about our inner committee. And we're going to talk about the empowerment triangle and how this shows up for us in business. And so, tell me what you know about the inner committee.
I don't remember the inner committee.
Okay, good. I'm asking just so I know like how detailed I want to get in teaching. Hey, Linda.
Hi.
Just explaining that we are going to look at the empowerment triangle and the committee in our head. And so I asked Jennifer, and I'm going to ask you the same thing. What do you recall or know about the inner committee?
The inner committee, I don't really recall.
Okay, good. Thank
At
you.
all.
That helps me because then I know how detailed to get was where I was going with that.
Yeah.
And once I show you this visual, it may remind you.
Yeah.
So I'm going to share my screen and share a visual with you. So can you see this?
Yep.
Okay,
Yes.
because I haven't ever presented out of Canva before. I'm like surprising myself on all this technological stuff. Okay, so we're going to talk about these different voices we have in our head. So Chris, when you watch this, just imagine the hair on this looking a little differently, although in your adolescent you could have had long hippie hair, so who knows. When we look at these four people, this inner committee in our head, I'm just going to kind of tell you a little bit about it. Then I'm going to ask you some questions that we can start to process and synthesize where this shows up in our life. So when you look over here, oh, well, I didn't expect to do that. Can you see an arrow?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Thank you. So when you look at this person, I should have made it a much smaller stick figure, but this is our little girl and our little boy. And when you think about hanging around littles, which I'll show you this photo because this is the most stinkinest cutest little elf, isn't it? He looks like the Gerber baby.
Mm-hmm.
That's my grandson getting ready to crawl. So this little, and even up until like 7 years old, right? Because human development, we develop most of our structure, our inner thinking, our inner patterns by the age of 7. So these littles are typically all about emotion, right? And I think about my two grandsons, one that's 4, and he's already starting to learn what's appropriate, what's not appropriate within his family system, right? And it doesn't mean that it's societally appropriate or inappropriate or what we deem as appropriate or inappropriate, but learning from his familia group and at preschool, what's considered appropriate, what's considered not appropriate, all of those things are starting to form his thinking patterns. And when I think about Bodhi, who is not quite a year, he's all emotion, right? If something's upsetting to him, he's going to cry or he's going to scream. If something makes him laugh, he's going to laugh. So 1 minute he might be laughing. Like I was over there the other day and he was eating and he was irritated by something. And so he started to kind of cry. And then I started to do something and he started laughing, right? Like instantaneous change. That's the little girl or little boy in us. And it's about our heart opening and really being in touch with, there's 5 bodies that we have. We have our emotional body, we have our intellectual body, we have our physical body, our spiritual body. Which one am I missing? We have our physical body, our spiritual body, our emotional body, our intellectual body. I don't know why I'm forgetting the 5th one, but I am right at this moment. So when you think about this, this is our emotional body. This is the ability to process emotion and to be able to utilize emotion. And when we self-regulate, those are tools that we've learned. But when we think about emotion, it's about how healthy are we? And many times as women, we tend to not process emotion. We swallow it, right? We tend to keep it lower. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that's the case. Men do that too, right? Like men, you hear all the time this, there's this documentary called The Mask We Wear about how men are taught not to show emotion, not to cry, not to, like hide behind this mask. So we learn very early on not to allow emotion to come out. I've also heard messages about don't ever trust your emotions in making a decision. Well, that's a piece of data that we need when we go to make a decision. Now, if I'm making a decision in the moment that I'm feeling the emotion, sometimes that can have a negative reaction, right? But really making sure that we're God dang it, taking care of that little girl or that little boy within us and allowing ourselves to process emotion. So, for instance, I think I've made a joke about this before that I can always tell when I am having some low underlying threads of stress, and it could be in my subconscious because I get really annoyed with other drivers and I speak to them in my car like they can hear me. Right. And sometimes I'm not so nice about it. Or when I get on the phone with a customer service rep, I really have to do a little bit of breathing because I don't feel listened to. Right. That's the little girl or little boy inside of us. And so it does show up in ways that can be productive and serve us, and in other ways, not so much. The little girl is also, or little boy, this little is the one too that plays. Now, the adolescent likes to play too, but there's usually a little edge of sarcasm in there. But whenever we go out and play, and so I want to ask you the question, when was the last time you laughed so hard that you were crying or that you about peed your pants? You're playing right into where I'm going. Because we as business owners, we as women who are also mothers, who are also running a business, who potentially are running a household, whether we're in a relationship or not, we tend to wear many hats. And so the message a lot of times that we're given is that we have to go do all of our work. We have to do all of these things before we can laugh and play and relax. How many of you, Linda or Jennifer, were either one of you told finish your homework before you can go out and play?
Mhm.
Or finish your chores before you get to play?
Yeah,
Yeah, Jen,
That doesn't mean that I did it.
right, but were you told that?
Oh, I was told that, but that doesn't mean that I did it.
Right.
and I don't remember it being really strong.
You do or don't, Linda? I'm
I
sorry.
don't. No,
Yeah.
I don't remember it being, it wasn't, and I don't think I heard it a lot, actually.
So let me ask you this. And this could be not necessarily like Jennifer, work with your clients, but it might be work on your house, or you need to finish this thing before you go do something fun. Or how many of you butt your client conversations, Linda, right up against something that's fun for you, and so then you're in a rush and feeling like you're late?
You mean like our meetings that I'm usually late to?
I was kind of using you there as an example, right? Because we feel like we have to finish that one last thing before we can go play or before we can go have fun. So, Jennifer, does that resonate with you? Not necessarily about the being late or, but when is the last time? Well, so let me ask you, when was the last time you did something fun?
Last night.
Okay. And it brought you joy?
Yes, and I was laughing.
Good. Jennifer, what about you?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. So your
It's
little
wild.
girl masks itself differently. Because do you see value in playing?
No, not really.
Right. Yeah. So your little girl might be locked in a closet like Harry Potter, right?
Oh,
In, in
baby.
the, yeah. And in the fact that you don't see value in it. And that's where then we shut down this little girl. And here's what happens. The little girl or little boy in us, that little person is the one that helps us be creative. That's the one that helps us be inspired. That's the one that helps us come up with creative solutions to situations that we're in or circumstances that we're in. It helps us uncover creative ways. Like, I'll give you an example. My creativity has been out the window lately, and that's part of what I loved ChatGPT for. So I went out to ChatGPT last night and I'm like, give me some examples of another way to say book a clarity call. And I'm now renaming my clarity calls to I don't even have it down yet, right? Because I'm having to go back and look at my notes, but something to the effect of book my aha moment,
Mm,
right? Like that's creative. And people are drawn to that versus I want a clarity call. Well, that's kind of boring, right? Like, so that creativity and that ability to play allows you to then create this higher vibration that people are attracted to because a lot of people don't play. And when they see you playing, even in word choices of what you use, that's
mm,
attractive to them. Because most people in our lives don't have a lot of that. Now, I'm using really gross overgeneralizations. So, Jennifer, part of that might be uncovering in your family system. And if this interests you, we can look at it in your one on one, but like in your family system, what were you told about play? Like, I'm feeling the need the next time I go to my son and daughter in laws, I'm going to take marshmallows and I'm going to ask Zach before I come over to put the dogs in the backyard so they don't eat the marshmallows. And I'm going to come in throwing marshmallows. My daughter-in-law may hate me after that because we'll have to pick up marshmallows, um but like those things that allow that like relief of the heaviness of life to come out,
mhm.
that make you smile, that make you laugh more. And how many of you like it's taken me a few years to do this where I can now watch a comedy and I'll actually laugh out loud. Like I know when I need to let my little girl play a little bit more because I'll be like, oh, that's funny. And I won't laugh, right? Like, or I won't actually exhibit that something made me struck a funny bone on my body. Jen, you're about to say something. I can't see you guys very well because
Yeah,
you're in small circles, but
my husband's daily task is to make me laugh.
nice. And does that work?
He usually comes up with something that gets a good laugh.
Okay, good. Good, good. So my loving challenge to you is to start noticing every day. And Jennifer, I'm going to ask you not to just rely on your husband, but notice every day where you've created a spaciousness or a spot for you to laugh or to play, right? Like I know many of you know Nicole Huguenin. She's one of my favorite people to hang around because we laugh. You know, like the
Oh,
other day we were
okay.
up at Pine Street Woods, and I can't tell you how many times I've walked past the Sasquatch, my own, and thought, oh, that's cute. And the other day she's like, let's take pictures with Sasquatch. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to act like he's my boyfriend. And I'm like, ooh, right? Like we were posing with Sasquatch. Now, that sounds utterly ridiculous, but we were laughing our butts off, right? And having so much fun with it. That's the kind of play I'm talking about. Like things that don't necessarily always come naturally. Like playing games is one thing, but we end up in our adolescent a lot of times if we're playing games with people because we get into that competitive space. Like this is just free flow. Like if you're free flow writing, you're painting, any of that kind of creativity too is your little girl or little boy, your little person. Thoughts, comments, questions before I go on to the next one? No? So I want you to write down what's one thing that you're going to do for yourself to allow the being part of your little girl to come out in the next month. And I know both of you are coming to Souls in Motion on Wednesday, so that could be something that we try to bring out the fun.
Yes. That's a good one.
Linda, do you have a client up until 6 o'clock?
I'd have to look at my schedule and I probably do.
Okay. I'm just asking because I want to do something to create some
Oh,
laugh. And
I
so,
do. And this is someone that comes from out of town that, but I'm gonna, it depends. And again, some of my clients, if they're in crisis, I'm not gonna walk out of the room.
oh yeah, No, I don't expect you to. I just wanted to
But
know because I'm gonna do
yes,
something.
so
that
I
will
will,
create
I will be
laughter.
there just as soon as I can, but
Okay.
this one is an out of town person and is in, I know they're really struggling right now, so
Yeah, no
but
worries. I'm gonna
I
do
will
what
be
I'm gonna do then at 6 and then we'll go from there.
I will be there.
Okay, cool. Okay, so Linda or Jen, anything come to you
Yeah.
that you could
So,
actively do some inspired action to let your little girl out?
so this, I did this last night because I had a 3-hour meeting with the company that's going to be doing our insurance billing and my accountant yesterday. And at the end of the day, and I won't even go to how it was, whatever. It was,
Not
yeah,
your favorite meeting.
and no, because the insurance dictates so much. And actually, the owner of the business said, did I tell you that when you signed up for insurance that you sold your soul to the devil? And I'm going, that kind of
So tell
describes.
me about the fun.
Okay, so the fun was, so after the meeting, I went home. I've got my kitten. Well, she's now a year old, but she's a Maine Coon cat who is very fun. And so I have a harness for her and a leash, and so I put it on her, which I had not really. I did it once a long time ago, and then I did it the day, and I took her outside and put her on the grass and just laughed about, I mean, it was so fun because she was so excited and she was just exploring everything. And it was just, yeah, that was really fun. And it just helped me shift that paradigm shift. And yeah, plus just being outside, I love.
Yeah, animals are really good for opening up your little girl space, and then you have to be
Yes.
careful not to go into the critical parent, right? Like
Right.
if you're taking care of them the right way or not or whatever. So yeah, that's a great
Yeah.
one. Thank you for sharing that.
No, that was really good.
Jennifer, what about you?
I have no idea.
So what do you like to do that's fun?
My fun is very structured.
Yeah, because you can't let loose. For some reason, I keep getting the hit that this summer you need to go skinny dipping. Have you ever
Not a
skinny
chance.
dipped?
Not a chance.
Oh my God.
That pushes the growth.
It's been a long time, but that is fun.
Mhm.
I don't like swimming in lakes because I don't like feeling the weeds and I don't like knowing that there's fish in there. I,
Well,
I
there's
turn
no
into a
sharks.
complete I turn into a complete non-swimmer in lakes.
Mm.
So
I,
what's
I
something that could push your growth edge a little bit to play?
I'll have to give that some thought.
Okay, you got 2 minutes.
Oh,
1 minute.
I used to play in the mud, which is why I think I like gardening because I garden in bare feet.
Okay, so the next time it rains, you're gonna go play in the mud. You're gonna jump in a mud puddle.
Well, it'll be a sand puddle, but yeah.
Hey, I want to know what happens when you do it. Now, this is not an easy thing for me either, right? Like I'll never forget something I was doing one time and and that's why a lot of times I'll ask clients to finger paint. And we were finger painting and I'm like, I can't get like my nail tech is going to be so mad at me. My nails are going to be gross. And like I was having the hardest time even with the consistency of the finger painting, like ugh, feeling and like just how messy it felt. And so for me, my little girl needs help getting messy and being okay with that. I was laughing the other day. Nicole and I took my grandson up to Pine Street Woods, my new favorite place, and we went down to that area that has like balance beam logs and like all of this like really cool stuff. And to get there, we ended up going through this like mud bog. And at first I was like, are you kidding me, Nicole? Like what? Like my shoes are soaked, my socks are soaked. And then I was like, I go, come on, Carter, let's go this way. And he's like, no, I want to go that way with Nicole, right? Like it was so much more fun. And I'm like, why do I even care? Right? My shoes, I can wash my shoes, I can wash my socks. It's not a big deal. But I understand, Jennifer, what you're saying, because I struggle sometimes with that idea of messy and the idea of as business owners, we can get very intense.
Yeah.
And sometimes that intensity masks itself. And so, Jennifer, it would be really interesting in our one-on-one if you want to go there to kind of unwind like what you remembered playing as a little girl and doing those things. But like as an example, part of the reason I have a dance button and a little car and a little light bright in my office is it reminds me to be creative because I used to love light brights as a kid, right? And that's one thing that another group I'm involved in is if you're trying to uncover something in your little girl and let your little girl out a little more, think about like a favorite toy that you played with as a kid and then go to an antique shop or go somewhere and order it. Sarah bought me the little miniature light bright, right? But like do something to then uncover that little girl. What was a favorite toy you played with, Jennifer?
I used to dress my Barbies.
So maybe you need to go get a Barbie.
And
On your desk.
well, I have a doll, but then I also have lots of fabric. And so I actually played with Barbies so that I could sew for them.
Oh, perfect.
And
I love it.
my dad and I built her a house and I wallpapered it. And Barbie had carpet that came up to her ankles.
Oh, wow. That's cool because she had shag carpet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Okay, so we're going to move on. I want to talk about now the adolescent. And so that's the one in the middle with the rainbow hair. And the adolescent, and all of these serve us in both ways that serve us and don't serve us, right? So like the little girl, if we, like exhibit emotion. So I'll give you an example. Sometimes, like I used to, when I was angry, I would laugh because I didn't know how to process anger. So my little girl would laugh because she didn't know how to like create and process through the anger part of it. So that wasn't necessarily displaying anger, right? And so that didn't serve me well. And so because then my little girl brain got confused on when I was laughing and playing and when I was angry. So it serves us though too when we have EI, right? Or emotional intelligence. And so that is where we've tried to create an adolescent structure around emotion, right? But it helps us to become more emotionally aware. The adolescent is that kind of resiliency in us that I'm going to make this business successful no matter what. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to do it all on my own. The adolescent's a little sassy. Like I've named mine. My little girl's name is Daisy, and my adolescent's name is Vanessa. Because Vanessa just sounds kind of sassy, right? The adolescent is that one that feels like they have to justify. So a lot of times what happens is I'll be working with a client and they might like give me excuses as to why now I totally get it. Like if somebody's saying, "Hey, I appreciate it, but I've got a client or I've got this and I won't be there." But in my mind, I'm never going to take offense if you just say I won't be in attendance today. Because honestly, I care because I care about you all, but I don't care what's getting in the way of the call. Now, if it's resistance, then that's different. But like I have some clients that will come on and they spend 3 minutes of everybody's time justifying why they were late to a call, when in fact, you just were late. It's okay. So the adolescent always wants to justify. They want to bring out reasons as to something, right? So they can be sarcastic. They can try to like bring up reasons as to why they're doing it's like the rebel without a cause. Like if you think about teenagers, right? Like they have this rebellious, my friend used to call it in boys jackass juice, where their chest puffs out and they're like, I got this, right? And so this can also get in our way as an entrepreneur because we feel like we have to take on the responsibility of everything in the business. Sometimes it causes us to be slow to hire people to support us. Right? Like Linda, you've been a great role model of hiring people to be like an admin and an insurance biller and doing those things that help then free you up to be in your genius.
Yes.
Right? But we sometimes put our feet down, and it's almost like the adolescent is that one that like we're dragging, right? With the feet in the dust, like as we're dragging that through. So the adolescent doesn't serve us in ways that it covers and masks sometimes the emotion. It sometimes justifies and feels like we have to justify. This is where I go with when I say I'm going to be late to something, a lot of times I will say thank you for being patient
Yeah.
versus I'm sorry, right? Go, I'm sorry, then we feel like we have to justify and add more on.
Yeah.
Or when I say thank you for being patient, then that just kind of stops it. I don't have to justify or go any further.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah. The adolescent
Mm.
also serves us because of that resiliency, right? That come hell or high water, I'm going to make this happen. Or sometimes even I'm going to make it happen in spite of myself.
Yeah.
That adolescent also is the one that is the risk taker. It's the experimenter, right? And if you think about being in business, we've all been risk takers.
Mhm.
But what can happen then is our critical parent takes over. So we'll talk about that one here in just a minute. But adolescent wise, where do you see this show up in you? And it's okay because we all do it. And
Mm.
frankly, if I was doing this in person with you all, I would have set up 4 chairs and we would work through a problem or some circumstances, and I would have you move into the chair that you're representing as you talk about it. So when you think about your adolescent, what's one area
Mm.
that you can identify where your adolescence shows up and it's not necessarily serving you?
Mhm. Mm. I have
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
I'm really good at making things happen.
Hmm.
Yeah. And however, that can also, I'm also a creative solution finder. Okay, so the adolescent in me can have me go too far with that without recognizing the signs to shift. That's not a good path, and I've gotten in trouble with that before.
So
So
tell me a little bit more when you say, like, is it in decision making? Like you move forward?
no, I've made a choice. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna go after it, and I'm gonna make it happen.
Okay.
Even if doors are closing and, and I will just, sometimes, well, and I've done that in the past and that really hurt me financially. Because there were signs that said, no, don't go there. And I just said, well, I'm going to make it happen. And so that's that adolescent that's like, okay, stop,
Yeah.
take a look and, and go to the 10th, I always say, go to the 10,000 foot level and see it from there.
Which
But
is your mature adult.
yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Okay. So the adolescent has served you because it's helped you
oh
move
yeah,
forward
in
into
many
things.
ways.
But then, and I'm going to ask that question here later, but then it hasn't served you because you haven't listened to the warning signs.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that does happen. Our adolescent masks those red flags, right? I can tell
Well,
all sorts of
and
funny.
I will hear it and see something and I'll just do it, go through and do it anyway. So I don't stop and say, okay, let's pay attention to this one.
Yeah, because your adolescent is in charge, not you.
Yeah, because it's not like I don't see it.
Yeah.
I really, I do, and that almost moves me. And in the past, it's just made me more determined. I'm gonna make it. It's like, okay, Linda, stop.
Yeah.
Fly up to the 10,000 foot level and look down.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Jennifer, what about you? Where have you noticed that potentially you've been in your adolescence and it hasn't served you well?
Oh, I don't know.
What if you did know?
I don't think I would do anything differently.
Yeah, so in some ways, I might take what you said and say sometimes resistance, because our adolescent is also what resists. Um, and so I'm just using that as an example, right? Like we might resist to something, and that's our adolescent kind of putting their feet in the sand, right? To say, no, stop. And we're dragging something along. Yeah. Any questions about the adolescent before we move into how it served you? So Linda or Jennifer, how has your adolescent served you? Because I will say most of us are in our adolescent most of the time.
Oh, I would agree with that.
So where has it served us?
I will say that um, the idea of adolescent figuring things out, I do a lot of that.
Okay. And is that figuring out with other people or figuring out by yourself?
A little bit of both.
Okay, good. Yeah, you're pretty balanced on that. Linda, what about you? I know you had talked about like it helps you move forward, but what's another way?
Yeah, no,
Tell us.
it really does. And you know, with the, and you helped me work through that, the risk of setting up the practice in the clinic now. I mean, that was like that was part of that was I think the adolescent, I was really excited about it. It was scary, but I just, you know, this was definitely me looking at something and taking a risk and having that energy to do it. So I don't think it was totally the adolescent. I think it was, but anyway, that was a part of it because
Well, and the adolescent helps us step into our fear, particularly when the mature adult is in charge. Because even though our mature adult is in charge, these three people are still sitting on the couch.
right,
Right. But what happens is the mature adult helps the adolescent feel safe.
right.
Right? And so therefore you use that adolescent for the resilience, for the stepping forward, the risk taking, and they feel like they can, like your adolescent inside you feels like it can take the risk because it
Yeah.
feels like the mature adult has stepped back and taken some of the emotion, some of the data points of that, some of the data points of the other things and justified, done the plus delta, whatever,
Oh.
the pro con list, some of those types of things to then make us feel safe enough to step into that risk.
What I think what you said really nailed it too is the fear.
Mhm.
Another fear, which is that's something I'm really focusing on now. How many of my choices and and decisions and just what I do, how much does fear come into play?
Yeah.
And recognizing the fear.
Yeah, that's big. That's big.
Yes.
Um, I was going to pull up something and then I decided not to because it's going to take me too long to pull it up. So when you think about that, like just notice, right? When your little girl's trying to come out and are you squashing it? Because sometimes that's the adolescent squashing it because the adolescent's job is to protect the small child.
Oh, yeah.
So as an example, there are people in my life that when I go hang out with them, I don't let my little girl out.
Mhm.
Little girl is a little bit more vulnerable,
Mhm.
right? I don't feel as
Right.
safe.
Yes, I hear
So
that.
like as an example with my sister and her family, they tease a lot. And so there's things that I won't bring forward in allowing my little girl, like I'll play and have fun, but I won't necessarily open up about certain things from an emotional perspective because I don't feel safe doing that, right?
Mhm.
So the job of that adolescent is to keep that little girl safe. And part of who they're keeping it safe from is other people, but also our critical parent.
Yeah.
And our critical parent over here, anytime I hear people say, I'm my own worst critic, then I'm like, oh, they live in their critical parent.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm putting my desk down because my dog is wanting my attention. And the critical parent is also someone that a lot of these internal messages that we've all worked on together have come from because a lot of times our critical parent resembles one of our parents or an authority figure that we've had in our life. Now, the head on this person is you. It's not your mom or your dad or a teacher or a religious connotation, like it's not necessarily one of them. It might take on the resemblance. I think about the movie The Shack, right? And how like the universe or God's figure changed looks throughout it. But that critical parent is really the one that its job is to keep us safe.
Yeah.
So we have to appreciate that. And one group I'm in, they're always like, tell them to shut up. And I'm like, that's not nice, right? Like, that's a part of who I am. And it's more about, I want to have gratitude towards my critical parent to say, thank you for trying to keep me safe. I've taken that of note, and please sit down. And now I need for you to kind of zip it, right? Like, I don't need to hear the,
good.
why would anyone want to buy this from me? Why would anybody want to hear this message from me? Like, I don't need to hear those things. And so I will like even physically say it out loud, like, please sit down. I love you, and thank you, almost like that hona whatever thing. But
Yeah.
when you think about your critical parent, the reason the adolescent is in the center there and keeping the young child safe is that critical parent is punching us
Mhm.
all the time. Like if you think about the example that I've used and how we poke holes in our vase, the
Mhm.
critical parent is the one that pokes the holes, are internal, right? So if you imagine all of them sitting on whatever color couch you want them to sit on, it's like they stand up at different times, right? And so that critical parent, yes, it keeps us safe. And so it will say, I don't think you want to step off of this building. But then when it says, oh, you should be afraid to cross the bridge over at Kootenai Falls that you can see through the graded center because you're not safe, then the mature adult has to come out and say, yes, I am safe. It's sturdy. It's just a visual optical illusion. The adolescent might come out and go, watch me. I'm going to do it. Right. So if we live in our adolescent, it almost becomes more of a competition
Yeah.
versus that talking in your head of saying, no, this is just an optical illusion. You've got this. It's way okay. Right. Do you feel the difference energetically,
Yes.
Jen?
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't see you as well because you're a small box instead of big because I'm sharing my screen. And so that critical parent does serve us, but we have to be really conscious of what it's trying to tell us and be really conscious about how much we listen to it. And we are in our adolescence and our critical parent a lot. If you find yourself beating yourself up or saying, I should have done this, that's a good indication that you're in your critical parent. The I would have done this differently. The woulda, coulda, shouldas. Have you heard of that before?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anytime we're in that woulda, coulda, shoulda, we're in that critical parent role. So I want you to, if you don't mind being vulnerable and sharing, when was the last time you were critical with yourself?
Okay, is there a difference between being critical and being reflective?
Well, it depends. What's your reflection?
Well, I mean, if you did something and I can't think of any specific examples, but let's say that you did something and after you did it, you realized, oh, there was an easier way that you could have done it. Not in a critical perspective, but just
Yeah,
kind of, you know what I mean? Like
I do.
kind of more like oh, isn't that interesting? There is an easier way.
Yes. Now, if you approach it in that way, yes, what you have to be careful of is if everything you do, you're always thinking, I could do this better. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. That's how our critical parent serves us, is because we can be in that cycle of, I want to make this better for my clients. I want to make things easier for people. I want to do these things. But when it becomes more critical and all we're focusing on is what we could have done better versus what went really well about this, then that can take us down a hole, right? If we're
Right.
looking at it and we're saying, so the critical parent, how it serves us is in reflecting. If I'm reflecting because I feel like deep down at the core, there's something wrong with me, so therefore everything I do is missing something. That's a really subtle way that critical parent shows up.
Yeah.
If I'm looking at it and saying, oh, there's a growth edge here. Cool. What do I need to learn? It's somewhat similar, but it has a different energetic force to it. And sometimes it could be like, okay, cool. It's just it was, and I don't really want to learn anything from it, and I'm going to leave it be. Does that help, Jen?
Yeah,
Because reflection is good.
Yeah.
The thing is that we can't spend so much time in the past that then our critical parent takes over, right? Like you spend too much time in the past and it can create depression. You spend too much time in the future and it creates anxiety.
right.
You can't change your past, but what you can do is learn from it. But learning from it, to your point, in a way that's, oh, how can I do this different to make it easier? You know, like I was just talking to Meredith today about creating this private client portal and like I want to be able to do X, Y, and Z. And she said, well, instead of like having them go out and put in a promo code, because what I'm going to do is comp you guys on the new course that I have in sales. And so instead of having them put a promo code, make it easier for them and just have them click like we'll tag them and it will automatically give them access to this course. I'm like, perfect, right? Like reflecting on things to make it better with the focus on how can I make this better for the client, not how I screwed up or how I'm doing something wrong. That's the biggest difference.
Yeah.
Right.
And the critical parent is looking at it from the perspective too of how can I make this easier? Because they are looking at the details, but then the mature adult takes over to say, we're not going to go into the spiral that takes us down and think I'm an imposter or I did something that screwed it up. Now, what happens though, Jennifer and Linda, is that all of these roles can be really, really sublime. And due to how we were raised, due to thoughts that we created even up to the age of 7 or as early as up to the age of 7, all of those things help us with our filters. So sometimes like we only see problems and we only see possibilities with our own filter. So like our possibilities that we see, like even before both of you came to see me as a client, like you saw the possibilities within your own framework of a box that you had set up for yourself. And until someone knocks that box away and says, oh no, there's all of these other possibilities out there too, we only see it through our own framework. So even in the essence of trying to make something simpler or better, we're still seeing it through our own framework.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
Okay. So all of these 3 people are here and they can be standing up, sitting down so much that it looks like a dance party, right? Like we can waffle between these so quickly.
Yes.
And the mature adult who happens to have a hairstyle like mine, huh? The mature adult down here, that person's job, as I mentioned before, is to help the little girl feel safe, help the adolescent feel safe, and to help the critical parent be able to give us data points, but not have it take over everything that we're doing from a decision making. Now, if my critical parent shows up and I get an intuitive hit that I'm in a dangerous place and I need to leave, I'm glad for that.
Yeah.
Because then my mature adult takes over and says, leave. My adolescent says, I got this, and sticks around. So what does that look like? Well, the mature adult allows for that little girl to come out and to play and to do those things without criticizing me or without saying to myself, this doesn't make any sense. Why am I doing this? Why am I having a marshmallow fight? Well, we don't have to have a reason. That's the critical parent that thinks that they have to have a reason to go play. Right? Like me even saying part of the great thing about playing is it helps you be creative. Well, that's a reason, right? Like that's my critical parent coming out and saying, here's, or my adolescent even justifying why I can play. But because most of us don't see as much value in just strictly playing. I mean, honestly, that's part of why I love skiing so much. Is my adolescent, my critical parent slows down because there's so many things that I have to pay attention to that my brain slows down. And it allows my child heart to like just soar and have a good time. So my hope is that each of you have something that fulfills you in that way. Now, the mature adult also helps the adolescent feel safe. And what that looks like is helping that adolescent understand they don't have to justify, right? It's kind of like The Year of Yes, that book by Shonda Rhimes that I've mentioned before, where like you know what works for you. And that's that self-discovery and uncovering. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, but that's that self-discovery of knowing who you are, what your value systems are, what your life intentions are, so that you know what's in alignment and what's not in alignment for you. And if it's not in alignment, then it's about working through that and figuring out what's out of alignment. It might be learning something new that helps you uncover something about yourself. Whatever that is, that mature adult then is constantly trying to understand who we are at the essence of what we do, so that not in a realm that something's wrong with me, but to create more self-awareness, because the more self-aware we are, the more aware of others we can be. So the more I know about myself, then the more I can start to see. Now we have to be careful, because our adolescent and critical parent will take over with clients, because we start to project, or we see ourselves in them, or we make snap judgments before we fully listen to something. Right? Our adolescent comes out if we have someone come in and you're like, oh, I can totally see where they're at, and they can't see anything. Like they don't know where they're at. Like we're not that vicious about it, but our mind is saying that, right? So then we jump in and try to heal or give them advice before they've self-actualized. I do it. We all do it. And that's how it can sometimes show up in business. Another way that it can show up in business, our adolescent, is that we get defensive about things. We're not open to trying new things, right? That's the little girl in us, that ability to want to try new things. The critical parent can come out as we're working and stop us in our tracks. And it's happened to both of you. It's happened to me too, where it's stopped us from doing something because of the fear of not being safe, right? Like that subconscious of I'm not safe, I'm going to die. Maslow's hierarchy.
Yep.
So thoughts, comments, or questions about this committee in your head, and or aha moments that you had as I went through this?
Well, I really like this, Debbie. It's a good reminder too that yeah, I have more than just one thing going on in my mind. So it's really good to connect with that. So thank you.
Yeah.
And yeah, seeing how also seeing my progress and how I've progressed with this. Yeah, there's still challenges, but also just being grateful, for yeah, just for some of the steps I have taken and to recognize it. What
Awesome.
but I like assigning the different stages of life this way. That's just really good.
Yeah. And when you say different stages, like these 4 people are in us
Yeah.
even when we're little. Yeah. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I meant. Yeah. But I like the stick figures too, because I like the visual. That's good.
It's helpful.
Yeah, very.
Jennifer, anything for you that stuck with you? Are you coming Wednesday? Tomorrow?
Yes, I have to clicky.
What?
I have to click on the Facebook thing. I don't think I
Oh,
have.
okay. I was like, clicky. What the hell's that?
I thought she said she had had a quickie.
I love it. I love it. So what resonated with you?
Your last comment, one of your last comments, the more that we know about ourselves, the more we can understand others.
Yep. Now, with that in mind, I have 2 things. One is I am starting to learn more about human design and gene keys, which your human design, basically what it says is it's your, whatever words you use. For me, I use God, but it's like your God-given blueprint, your spiritual DNA, of how you are in the world. And it's based on the date, time, and location of your birth. So I'm just learning, so I will tell you that. But one of the things, I have this app that does some really cool like summaries, that if you would like to have your human design report ran, I will run it for you, but you need to text me the month, day, year you were born, the time you were born, and AM and PM matter a lot, and the location of your birth. And I'll plug it into this little thing you can see here. I have numerous charts. And so what it will do is give you a chart that makes no sense, but you can hover over it and it will share with you like
Oh,
what these things
interesting.
are. And it just gives you like an indication. Now, what I am getting ready to do and other people have done is then I copy and paste what I would text to you and put it into ChatGPT and say, please provide additional information based on the below summary of my human design and tell me how I need to market to attract people that I need to work with.
Interesting.
It's kind of fascinating. So if you want me to do that, text me that information and I'll send it to you. And then lastly, I wanted to share with you, and if you're interested, let me know because I will send you the link with the code. I have a sales workshop coming up, and even Jennifer, I know you've attended one in the past, even though you've already attended it, it's a good brush off. And I'm just being transparent with you. I have 2 people signed up, and so I would like some more bodies there. And it's also something that I think as clients, I'm also going to offer it up to my mastermind folks. It's normally a $33 piece, but I'll give you a code to come for free. Because the more people we have, then the more interaction we can get, and then it's just a richer class. So that is actually, I should have had this on my calendar. That is actually on Wednesday, so tomorrow from 12 to 2, if you're available. Text me and I'll send you the link and the code to sign up for that. So. And for those of you that are getting the summary in your email, this is just a summary from the AI and the recording will be available to you and Sarah will send out the recording link. Well, I'm going to give you all 4 minutes of your time back and
Okay.
thank you so much. I appreciate it. And then
Thank
I'll
you.
see you when I'll see both of you tomorrow night.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye,
Take care.
Jennifer. Bye,
Thank you.
Debbie.
Bye.